Living on the water is the only life we know. Yo, ho, ho, ho. It's time for the Bodie Show.
Welcome, Stephanie. No awkward silence. No awkward silence. Just good times.
Thank you. Welcome to you, Jeffrey.
I'm referring to what was some audio-visual difficulties as we navigated some technical setups here. Hey,
Happy to be here.
Happy to be here. We are not in person this week. We've gone back to
No, I
our
know.
remote situation, and
Yep.
you are on your back porch at the river at your farmhouse, and I'm on the back porch at my house in Philadelphia, Ballackinwood.
Yeah.
I got
Yep.
I got a bunch of little brown birds that are aggressively eating all the food in the feeder next to me, which listeners, you may hear. They are brown nut warblers.
You just made that up.
I did.
I just want to say that I feel like this is such a great birdie time of year too. And we were just wandering around the field here at the farmhouse and with some birders, with binoculars and the whole thing, looking for kestrels. Yeah, it's a great time of year for that. So it's nice to have the background noise. It's good.
Did you see any kestrels?
No, but I saw them yesterday, which was awesome.
Kestrels are a bird of prey, right?
They are. They're like a teeny tiny hawk, but with more colors.
That's badass.
I know. I love them so much.
Yeah. Did you see any other birds of note?
I've seen a ton of hawks recently up here. This is really raptor heaven up here because it's so flat,
Yeah.
It's when you're off, and the water is the water, but when you're off the water, it's a lot of fields and there's a lot of open space, and the raptors love it. So yeah, I've seen red-tailed hawks and all kinds of. But I don't know my raptors terribly well. I know kestrels well, and then merlins.
It just said, wait, stop. No, it just sounded like you said, I don't know my rappers very well, which is not true. But I'll clarify for listeners if you were confused with that pronunciation. She said raptors.
I mean, there's a lot of crossover there. Anyway, it was
A merlin?
It was fun. I saw a merlin out on Occident on the river last summer, which was really cool.
What's a merlin? What's the story about a merlin?
It's just it looks a little bit like a kestrel. It's a little bit bigger and has less showy colors. Yeah, it's a small raptor. Very
That's
cool bird.
Yeah, you know your birds, and I like that. I know a lot of trees. You know some trees too. I know a lot of trees. I like walking around and looking at trees in the same way that I like walking around and looking at boats and knowing what they are.
We talked, not to get us off track immediately when we start the show, but I remember we talked about how I decided to come back to the river after living in California, and I was on the ferry every day.
And you saw the Coast Guard blowing by in a big old Guardian whaler.
Yeah, and I got all jealous and I had to move back to the river. So the other thing that happened for me on those same rides on that ferry was I learned to love birds because there were birds I had never seen before. I remember there was an avocet, and I just fell in love with that bird. And I had a bird book, and I looked at the bird book all the time, and just
while you were commuting.
Totally, yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, remember you were in California, and you were sending me pictures, and I was like, that's an avocet. That's a Western grebe. That was another one. I loved seeing them. Western grebe. They're so pretty, right?
Yeah, I like
with the black.
Yeah, I like bird names a lot. Avocet, Western grebe, kestrel.
Yeah, they do. They have great names.
Merlin.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was driving across the top of the bay. I think it's like Route 33, and it goes past Sonoma Raceway.
And then just to be clear, the Bay Area Bay.
Yeah,
not
California Bay Area.
Top of the bay, not like Alex Bay.
Not like top of the bay where you get your A-bomb.
Just checking.
No, it wasn't. No. Our audience is heavily weighted. Well, I don't know, actually. We have you have somebody who has listened to the Bodie Show in the Russian Federation, believe it or not, and Japan.
God bless.
And
there's
somebody listened to a lot of them in Chile, and we'd love to hear from all of you if you're still listening. What's going on?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm glad it translates.
So yes, I was in the San Francisco Bay, and I was driving across the top of it. There's a whole beautiful estuary delta up that way that ultimately winds all the way up to Sacramento, which is pretty far away. And so I was at the mouth of that delta on this elevated road that just cuts across it. It's probably very environmentally crappy. Anyhow,
yeah,
there were
obviously it's cutting off some important flow to something.
Yeah. There were really cool diving duck looking things and these other birds. And Steph loves the diving duck. And I was emailing, I was taking pictures and texting and getting a live bird identification from her, which is fun. And I keep meaning to get that bird call app from Cornell.
It's called Merlin. It's so good.
Yeah. That may be like the only beneficent use of AI so far. Actually, besides picture this, which I use to identify trees by their bark.
Oh, very nice.
Other than that, AI is being used to
I'm-
cheat on exams and generate porn and lots of other things that are not great. But that's because we're humans and AI does what we tell it to do. So there you go, humans.
So we're going to have to own it one way or the other.
It's happening and we can be
Yeah.
grumpy or not, but it's inevitable.
I'm going to be grumpy regardless of whether AI is involved, unless AI can stop me from being grumpy, which would be great. Is that something it can do?
Yes.
It'd be great. It
Yes.
would be great.
You're going to have to participate in the exchange though, okay? So we're going to train AI. We're going to train AI to help Steph not be grumpy.
All it really has to do is read Instagram comments from some of my favorite accounts.
So maybe it's just, hey Siri, read Instagram comments from what's his name? Brad Axman. What's his name? Bradley Thor. Bradley
I think
Thor.
his name is Thor Bradley.
Thor Bradley.
Yeah. Oh no! Here we go.
Here we go. You fucking brought it up. I mean, you brought it up, dude. So
You brought it up.
no,
definitely
you
brought it
said
up
read
twice.
Instagram accounts.
Oh god.
And I'm supposed to hold back and not go there. All right, moving on. We don't need to dwell on that. Let's talk about a really, really important topic. Seating.
Let's go.
Seating. Boat seating.
Boat seating.
Yeah.
Okay.
A rarely satisfying topic.
Oh yeah, but now are we talking about the beanbag chair?
Yes.
Yeah, this is amazing. So, and again, boat seating is something that you and I care about anyway, because we want there to be like a round thing, and we want it to be couchy and comfortable, and we want there to be a sense of community inside the boat, and we care about this in general.
Yeah.
But then the other day, when my friend Patrick and my friend Kimberly were helping me clean my boat, they also threw a beanbag chair.
Wait, you mean on Donor Appreciation Day?
Yes, it was Donor Appreciation Day. Thank you so much. Anyway. And Patrick was like, look, here's a beanbag chair. It's like marine grade, like waterproof, blah, blah. And they threw it in my boat. I was like, great, because you can't really have too many seats. My boat's wide open, has one seat, like it's actually fixed, and then just a bunch of kind of janky ass, very expensive marine chairs.
That's the thing with boat seating. Janky ass, very expensive.
Yeah, don't make a chair that you want me to pay $200 for and then make it fall apart. Just don't, please.
That's
Stop.
not really what the marine seating industry is doing though. They're not they are making $200+ chairs, and then they are making them to fall apart. They will remain nameless, but there are some individuals in my life who have these really nice looking stainless steel or aluminum framed folding chairs with decent looking upholstery and padding and stuff, and the friggin' like seats ripped out within months. They're ridiculously expensive. Excuse me.
Yeah, it's a thing. Chairs in my boat, thank God I didn't have to actually pay for them. I don't know how they ended up in my boat, and they will stay there forever. So good luck, everybody who's coming to my boat. I will never replace them because I'm not paying $200 for a boat chair that then just sucks.
Yeah, those big boat chairs that are like marketed as captain's chairs, and they look great. You know, they're stainless steel, and they got weatherproof fabric and all this stuff, but the bolts fall out of them almost immediately. And
immediately. Yeah, and mine have this. There's like some structural piece in the. I'm trying to get better at explaining things because when I listen to these podcasts, which I do,
awesome, hot, awesome.
I think I should be slightly more articulate. There's or not, but I'm going to try anyway.
Okay.
You're going to suffer through it. But there's some little structural pieces that are like metal, and they're supposed to hold something, and then you should fold it and unfold it. But for sure, that little structural metal piece looks like metal salad. It's just totally mixed up and bent in a million pieces. And I'm like, I don't think it's supposed to look like that. But they knew what we were going to do with it. They were going to sit on it and then fold it back up again. I don't even fold them. They just sit there. If somebody wants to make a better chair, there's a market for that.
Or if you can't make a better chair, at least make some AI that reads Instagram comments from Steph's favorite accounts, so she can stop being grumpy about the damn boat chairs.
Or just make a sucky ass chair that's a lot cheaper. That'd be great.
That's where I am. I'm going to buy chairs that are going to fall apart because they're and instead of paying a premium for a chair that is going to fall apart.
All right, I'm going to bring us back because I've realized
beanbag chair.
I've realized that
you got me fired up.
Actually kind of my job a little bit. I'm getting to know my place around here. Things are going well. Anyway, the beanbag chair. So it was in the boat, and then it rains, and then you have to dump the water out of the beanbag, but it looks delightful. Like it has like sort of an area to it that you can tell is supposed to be the headrest. It has words on it that are like embroidered. I don't know what they are. I can't remember. It's sitting there. And then my friend Julie comes to get in the boat yesterday to go to Round Island. And she was like, "Ooh, what is this?" She was so excited. And
You do a good Julie impersonation, so keep going with it.
thank
Can we
you.
hear more of Julie in the beanbag chair?
Oh! Then once she got in the beanbag chair, she's like, "Oh, this is better than anything I've ever felt. I haven't felt this supported," she said, "since ever in a boat. This is the best I've felt in a boat." Like she had the best boating experience of her life in that beanbag chair on the way to Round Island and back.
Amen.
She loved it.
Amen. Patrick Murphy and Kimberly Murphy, look what you've done.
Hands up.
Hands up. That's God's work right there.
It was a very strong reaction. So I haven't actually tried it out yet, but Julie gives it all thumbs up.
Is that because you haven't had a chance to sit in it? Because as soon as like Julie's in it the whole time.
Well, I do, but it just didn't occur to me. I should just make Julie drive and I'll sit in the beanbag chair. We'll do that tomorrow. I'll report back next week.
That's innovation right there. All right, excellent. Bodhi beanbag chairs, check. I'm very interested in trying that chair. I'm very interested actually in acquiring some of these chairs. I think that they could revolutionize everything. I know that I've seen them in pictures on offshore fishing boats where it's a bunch of people going out fishing and they like lounge in these things. I've seen pictures of them in that. Well, this is a great solution to my to my problem with boat seating, which is I had settled on I need to invent and manufacture boat seating that doesn't suck just for my own use. I did a whole lot of research into tube bending and like all this other stuff so that I could manufacture a boat/beach chair that didn't suck. Now with the beanbag solution, I can like free up that entire quadrant of stuff I was gonna figure out and do, and replace it with something frankly that's more fun.
Oh my God. That's amazing. I feel like there's like 100 things in line. Is that true?
Yeah, well, that's basically been replaced by I want to figure out how to fabricate and install really nice fixed boat seating so that I can make us the ideal seating layout for classic fiberglass boats that all came once upon a time with like whatever seating, but that seating is long since rotted and mildewed and just destroyed away. And so all of these really cool classic fiberglass boats, zero seating and or like just hammered seating, none of it was built to be resilient, so it all just like tear it out. That's the trick. Like most modern boats sell you because they have like really nice seating.
Really?
Well, look at a pontoon boat. There's nothing special.
Yeah. There's also cup holders and tables and grills.
Okay, I'm talking about all of those amenities.
Then you're right.
Remember when I showed you the picture of the tiara that was in the barn where my dad was fixing his stern thruster, and you look at it
from... It was boring from the outside and super hot from the inside.
Yeah, you saw the inside and you were like, oh. And all of a sudden...
my attention.
Yeah. That's what modern boats do. They sell you the seating. All right, wow. We just spent 14...
I know. The show's over. We're done.
15 minutes on... Beanbags and bitching.
But I do feel like I feel like this is also on our list. Okay, this is on our general list of like the seating is a whole thing and whatever. Like there's progress to be made. The beanbag may be a part of it. I'm very interested all of a sudden in the beanbags on the beach this summer. That's going to be it's a project, side project.
It could be magnificent. We'll have a correspondent, and that correspondent will be you.
Right. I will definitely do a boating show from the beach. We'll do it together. It's going to be great.
Brilliant. Stephanie.
Yes.
You proposed that we discuss items of the week. The boat is something that we will get to later. That's a given. You also proposed perhaps...
the everything of the week. Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, you proposed a motor of the week, a barn boat of the week, a boat name of the week, a rental boat of the week, a boat hat of the week. All of which are going to keep Jay Nash very busy composing individual intros.
So I think what I was doing is all of those things you just listed have actually been submitted.
They have?
Yeah.
Wow. I'm not tracking on all that.
No, I know. That's why I'm having a rare moment of like being like circling this shit up together. But our fans have submitted a motor of the week from Brian Danforth, which is that lovely tall Mercury situation that he sent us.
True.
The barn boat of the week was the boat that your friends Aaron and Flavia sent.
Oh, that thing. Did you
Yeah.
recognize what that was?
No, but I
So
like it a lot.
Aaron and Flavia from the Boat Yenta episode a while back sent a picture to us of a really, really glorious, probably late 50s, maybe early 60s little runabout.
But with like a Honda 4-stroke on it or some shit, right?
Yeah. And
Oh,
Aaron was at a conference out of town, and he had an Airbnb that had a barn, and he went and looked in and saw this really, really beautiful. And it was like the perfect stereotypical barn find, definitely in one piece. The motor was modern. All of the hardware on the boat was there. It wasn't too hammered, but it was just covered in like a 1/4 inch of dust. And that's the classic barn find, right? This thing that's been like lost in time in a barn. That was
it was
good.
really nice, beautiful shape to it. And there's something so hot about like that old boat, dusty, good shape, and then a smoking hot Honda 4-stroke on the back. It was just like, that is ready to go. I will take that boat right now.
Yes.
Like, I don't really dust and clean, but I will clean that thing and put it in the water and let's go. Looked good.
Patrick, run
It
away.
was very delightful. Don't tell Patrick.
Don't tell Patrick.
But it was so, like, I was so into it. Okay, and then boat name of the week also came back from Brian Danforth. We're not going to talk about it.
We're not.
Rental boat of the week. No,
We're not
well, we
talk
can.
About...
I'm just going to put stuff on the list that we're not going to talk about.
Okay, well, that could be on that. That could be a mystery. Tell you what, I could, if I remember, I could post the picture of it and let people let people come to their own conclusions about the boat name, so we don't have to discuss it.
So we're doing like a speed dating version.
Boom.
Where people like submit stuff. It's like, this isn't just the boat of the week. This is like the motor of the week.
You know what? I'm not afraid of the boat name of the week. I'm going to say it.
Say it.
No woke zone. Haha, get
woke
it.
Zone.
Right? Haha, get it. I appreciate a pun of any sort. If we were all in on like reporting the offshore-gasm, I think we could say no. I think we could say no woke zone.
What I love about the offshore gasm is it's better when you say it than when you see it.
It's true. And the thing is, like, we're just reporting the facts. That is a boat name. It was on a boat.
It is.
We are not. Name. We are not. There's no editorial here. It's just reporting the facts. Just the facts.
Okay, let's
Next.
go. Rental boat of the week is from Jen Holcomb, and these are hot, right?
Are they awesome?
This is like, listen.
You're trying.
I have 2 words. These really are so lovely, right? These are very, very vintage boats that somebody has electrified. This is not the first time that we have looked at these. You and I, way before the Bodie show, we geeked out on the situation before. Remember?
Yes.
Years ago.
Yes.
So, like, people are taking vintage boats, making them super pretty, putting electric engines in them, and then just, like, letting people rent them and drive them around. Which is amazing.
That is the move. And combining motor of the week with rental boat of the week, I have on the list of all the things I want to figure out and do, jamming an electric motor into the cowling and the superstructure of an old outboard motor so that you have, aesthetically, you have the period correct outboard motor bolted on the back of the boat and its guts are an electric motor.
Yes. Do you want to say more about it? Do you want to go full geek mode?
Okay.
You might want to. It might be a good time to do it.
All right. Geek mode. This is going to be geek rock mode.
Okay.
So if you were to take an old outboard motor under the tall cowling, the upper part that you see that sticks up, there's a whole internal combustion engine. If you want to convert that shebang to electric, you can take the whole internal combustion engine, which is bolted to the drive shaft, which goes down into the water towards the propeller. You could take that whole internal combustion engine off, and then you could stick an electric motor in there and bolt that to the drive shaft instead. And there are people who've actually done this. The rental boat fleet that I shared with you at one point, which was as part of this phase we went through of like thinking that this would be awesome to do. The people doing that were actually doing this. This is not my idea. This is just a thing. Now you've got, instead of an internal combustion motor, you've got an electric motor bolted to the drive shaft that goes down to the propeller, and you're off and you're running. The other option would be to just take the internal combustion motor and the drive shaft and all that crap out of there. And so you just got the shell of the outboard motor, right? Just for aesthetic purposes. And then at the bottom, where it's underwater, instead of the propeller and like the part that the propeller bolts into, which is kind of like a torpedo shape, you just take all that off. That's called the lower unit. You take all that off and you bolt an underwater electric motor, which are, you might see these as trolling motors. You bolt the bottom of a trolling motor on there. Oh. And so you just got a trolling motor, electric motor, torpedo shaped electric motor underwater instead of the lower unit of the outboard, and you're off and running. That would be the easiest way to go.
That sounds amazing.
I
love it.
One of my thoughts for the Grace is to go to Scott Smith or somebody and get like a cool old motor that's never going to run again and use its aesthetics.
Did you say people are doing this?
Yeah, people have like hobbied this up.
So what does it cost to buy that engine?
Like an electric motor to put in there?
No. If it's somebody already did the whole
Oh
thing.
no,
if
it's
you
not
want-
like somebody's doing it and selling them.
Okay.
People are doing it and using them on their, whatever.
Okay.
Their
Okay.
fleet of like really pretty antique like old boats that they've made pretty and then bolted electric motors on.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Okay.
I was just curious. You know how I am. I like to know whether something is actually for sale, which you say everything's for sale, and I get it. But I want to know, I'm interested. I think that's super interesting. I love that idea in so many applications.
If anybody out there, listeners, knows of resto-modded outboard motors, antique outboard motors that have been converted to electric that are for sale, or if you know of a service of somebody who would like fix all that stuff up, please let us know because that's pretty cool.
Please let us know.
I mean,
Yeah, we're into it.
We'd love to share it with the growing community. That includes people in Canada, Puerto Rico.
Yeah?
I think I said Japan, France, Belgium. I mean, not a lot of people, but like
One is fine.
the international,
Fine.
international presence. All right, there's one more lightning round. Boat hat of the week.
Boat out of the week. This is our friend Rob Hohen. He's from Round Island. He's a contributor on many levels, but right now he's here to talk about the boat hat of the week. So could you just describe it for us?
You know those like drinky hats, like where it's a hat and then there's like two drinks on each side. It's a modified drinky hat with a bow and stern light. It was a birthday gift to my sister one year because we live on a actual island, and
There it is.
as a result, boating for us is like, the only way to get to the mainland. And we had a summer of just tons of boat issues, just all the time.
Okay.
Constant stream of boat issues. And I thought like, it would be a really nice gift for my sister, a boat hat that had a bow and stern light. So it was like safe to swim to shore.
Oh, this is a swimming hat.
It's a swimming hat.
Oh.
It's an emergency self-rescue chapeau.
Yeah, because bow and stern lights that's really all you need for a boat, right?
Yeah.
That's the
Well,
most important.
Hold on, because I think we just redefined what is a boat. Which is
Yeah, I was thinking I wanted to submit some other definitions for boat.
Okay.
Because I was thinking
That's exactly why we are all here.
Have we just transitioned into the rear admiral of the? I literally am not even faking that. I can't friggin' say it. Have we just transitioned to that segment?
It's even better. Yes, we have. This
All right.
is a natural segue.
Here it is.
Boat hat of the week. And I also want you to tell us about what if there's a topic you really want to talk about.
I'm just gonna jam in
Yeah.
the boat of the week that I've been beating you guys over the head for the last couple weeks,
Right,
which
and
is
we're too distracted to remember. So
yeah,
please tell us.
which is the coho
Yeah.
from the Blackball Fleet in the Pacific Northwest.
Oh, God, that ferry. We have to apologize to you because you submitted that and said ferry of the week, and so it pachinko.
Fair enough.
That's the only reason it fell off.
It literally
Besides that, we were
it pachinkoed through my brain into a different slot.
I'm
sorry.
That's fine. Well, and I understand that you're still kind of working through the theme. Is it large boats? Is it sailing? Is it power boats?
This is the perfect moment because we just did the boat hat of the week.
And then,
And now we're doing ferry of the
ferry of the week.
So we're
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
the other things that are not just boats. So this is perfect time.
If you haven't picked up what we're putting down, there's no categorization going on here or theme.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
Well, I think the coho, which is part of the Blackball Fleet, there's only one.
It's amazing.
Separate issue.
It's amazing already.
Sails between Victoria, British Columbia, and Port Angeles, Washington, through the Strait of Juan de Fuca in the Puget Sound.
Sounds like a joke. I love it.
It's actually pretty rough out there.
I bet.
One of the things I've always wondered is, taking a lot of ferries here locally in the inland freshwater lakes and rivers, is that they're double enders. So
Right. They don't have to turn around.
Yeah. But the coho actually loads to the side, right? And it has a proper bow, like a ship.
Okay.
And so I've always wondered
How
about
does it
that.
offload?
And it turns out there's an answer because a lot of ferries, in the Mediterranean, like in the Greek islands and stuff, are similar. They're not double enders. They have like a proper
A front and
bow.
a back, yeah.
Yeah.
Or balance turn. Blah, blah. Sorry.
Wait, I don't know if anybody caught that, but Stephanie corrected Rob by saying front and back.
She didn't correct me. She corrected herself.
I tried to correct
you. Might want to edit that out just for the integrity of the show. At any rate,
making fun of me, which is pretty much most of what we do.
Yeah.
At any rate, the answer is, I'll just get right to it, is that when ferries have to traverse through really rough seas, the double ender doesn't work. Okay, so the next level down is all the ferries in the Pacific Northwest are now state-run. But they used to be a whole fleet of privately run ferries. Mm-hmm. Everything was private before they had bridges and floating bridges and all that stuff. Because the Pacific Northwest is interesting because they have all this like random, like stupid deep water, so they can't just make a bridge sometimes. So it's really hard to make bridges. So they're really big on floating bridges out there. Okay. Yeah. So. Anyway, so they had there's a whole fleet of different private ferries, and the Blackball fleet is the only private ferry left in the Pacific Northwest.
Mm-hmm. Is that why it's called Blackball?
There's more to that.
Okay.
Did you want to go? Did you want to
keep going?
Like keep going down. So then the guy that started the Blackball fleet in the Pacific Northwest is actually a descendant of the original Blackball fleet that sailed between England and the colonies across the Atlantic.
Wow.
And one of my sort of obsessions, because it's like used to be my job, is these like kind of everyday things that you take granted for that are actually like amazing innovations back in the old days. And somebody came along with this idea of like, oh wow, we should just like sail regularly across the Atlantic, whether we have enough passengers or not and cargo, and just let's have a schedule, and we'll just always sail back and forth.
And that might create more demand.
Yeah.
Wow. That you never think about that, but at some point it went from expedition to scheduled trip.
And they were the first business, exactly. They were the first business to go from expedition to just regular. This is like no big deal. Like, oh, when are you going? Yeah, I'm taking the Blackball, the March 1st Blackball. It's only going to take 2 months, but it's fine.
Instead of taking like the Hudson Bay Company expedition of like 1792.
Yes. Just grab a room on the boat.
Well, that's very cool. And
so the Blackball, the Blackball the family that established the Blackball scheduled Atlantic transit, they have a descendant now who's in the Pacific Northwest who is running the only privately owned ferry that's left in the Pacific Northwest.
Yes.
After the rest of them were all taken over by the state and turned into like a big transit agency.
Steph, this ferry, when you ride on this ferry, it's going to like melt your face off because it's all like vintage Art Deco from the and it's all like in perfectly restored. It's amazing.
Let's go right now.
And actually, one more small little fun fact that you guys are going to love is you should definitely check out the Kalakala. That's another ferry that was part of the Blackball fleet.
I thought that's the one that we were talking about.
Well, I sent you that one also.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. That was the one that had the Anheuser-Busch, like Busch beer, like Budweiser. Yeah. When Prohibition happened, they were like, okay, well, we need to pivot to some other business.
Clearly.
And instead of making bread, which is what you would assume, they were like, well, let's make diesel engines.
That's ridiculous.
We're really good at yeast and fermentation, so let's try diesel.
Yes. So
let's try internal combustion.
Yeah, and so they made these diesel engines and put them in ferries, and they were absolutely terrifying. They I guess apparently to shift from forward to reverse, you had to turn off the engine, and so can you imagine coming into the dock and being like, hold on guys, you gotta
turn the engine down. It's the right time for this.
And it's a beautiful, this is the funny thing, it's absolutely beautiful ferry, but it was terrifying to ride in it.
Is it still afloat, and is it still in service?
That's a really sad story. It was a fish processing plant after it was taken out of service, I think in the 60s or so. And it was up in Alaska. And then somebody got obsessed with it, like we all do, and tried to restore it. And it was just like a total disaster. and it ended up being like a navigational hazard. And
So for right now, she's out of service, but you never know what might happen next.
no, I think it's like
You think it's done?
no, yeah, I think
Is
it's
it
like
done?
lawn darts now.
Yeah.
It's something else
Lawn
entirely.
darts is a whole other level of concept.
But it's a cool story. You should definitely. That's
I'm more
worth looking
interested
up.
in the one that's all vintagey, blah blah. That's called the
You should
Black
come out.
Ball.
It's great.
Is that
It's
what
called the Coho.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
And where do I go to get that?
Just fly out to Seattle and
Seattle.
yeah,
Just checking.
yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
We got a lot of
It's
reasons to visit
fantastic.
Seattle, Stephanie, because
Yeah,
there
no,
are
we really do.
there-
We really do.
Oh God, you got to go to Port Townsend.
So on
yeah.
the photo show list.
Yeah.
Let's go.
well, and there are multiple hot tub boat companies in Seattle.
Exactly. I know. I mean, believe me, that's exactly what I was thinking.
I'll
about
tell you
when
what.
I said it.
Okay, Center for Wooden Boats. You go out to Seattle. Everyone's like, "Oh, you got to go to the Center for Wooden Boats." This is like this moment in my life when I realized, like, oh, we have it really good in Clayton.
You're like at the antique boat museum.
Because they're like, "Oh, check out all these wooden boats." I'm like, well, this is not.
You're like, whatever. Blah blah wooden boats.
Blah blah
Yeah,
wooden
it's
boats.
like blah blah river.
Now,
Yeah.
okay, I'm gonna come to the defense of the Center for Wooden Boats, because in Clayton, New York, there's a beautiful facility. It's called the Antique Boat Museum, and it has just about every flavor of wooden boat well preserved and displayed that you could imagine.
Fantastic.
It's unbelievably wonderful. And it's also, for the most part, look but don't touch. Center for Wooden Boats are like, we don't have as many wooden boats, but here, you could just get in it and take it out and try not to
Fair
get
enough.
run over by a seaplane. So I think they are
Yeah.
strong.
Yeah.
They are strong,
Yes.
but in different directions.
Like most things in life, it's a delicate balance.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Most-
It's very hands-on there
Yeah.
in their defense.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, I don't know. I mean, is there anything else that you need to share with us, Rear Admiral? I mean, like this
This is
very
your
thorough.
moment. This is your moment. You won't come back around in the schedule for quite some time.
Or actually, maybe perhaps next week. You never
Perhaps
know.
next week. Like, do you have a topic of any? Do you have a topic, any topic that you've been wanting to bring up?
I do, Jeff. I do have one update also, which I don't think made it on the show, but I provided wall-to-wall coverage of the boat condom. Remember that?
Oh my God!
Oh.
I do have an update on that.
Well, you've got to go back and give us actually the wall-to-wall coverage on the boat condom.
I'll give you the quick summary.
Recap.
So a friend of mine, we were down in New Zealand. I was visiting my friend in New Zealand, and he had a boat that had this thing that's kind of like it's kind of like a floaty that you drive your boat onto, and then this little flap comes up and it pumps all the water out of the little floating boat that you just drove your boat onto, so your hull is dry.
So it's no longer in contact with the fluids that
Yes.
may like adversely affect it.
Yes, because as you know, as a boat fan, you're always trying to figure out how can I keep the junk off the bottom of my boat. It's a constant battle.
Off the bottom of my boat?
Yeah, you don't want any growth on the bottom of your boat because it slows you down. I know.
You just drive it more.
I know with the houseboat you don't care, but
We do have some bigger muscles, but we're also not going for speed in the houseboat. So.
yeah, fair enough. Right? So,
Typically
Jeff,
not even going for distance.
This is an ongoing engineering battle, right? And you use all kinds of anti-fouling paint and
Nasty
you get a
chemicals.
lift.
Many of them are nasty
Yeah,
chemicals.
exactly. You lift your boat out of the water, all these different. And I was really fascinated. I was like, wow, this is a great solution.
It's not a problem you have, though.
Do you think
In the ocean, you
Is
definitely
it a problem
have.
you have
What do you
with
mean?
your boats?
No,
Just checking.
I'm in freshwater. Separate issue.
Yeah, I think
But
you're speaking on behalf of probably the vast majority of boaters who are in saltwater.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And I thought this is a pretty interesting idea.
Is this a blackball moment? Will we look back upon this as a blackball moment? The drive-in boating, like we started with
I'm
boat
telling you.
drive-ins, and now we're talking about boat drive-ins. Because instead of driving into a movie, you're driving into a floaty condom
Yeah.
thing, pumping water out. And this may be a blackball moment.
I'm telling you,
ladies
the
and gentlemen.
floaty condom.
Do you know what's the update? He said he has.
There is an update. Yeah,
Okay.
I know. Before we get too excited about it, it's actually ends. This is sort of a tragic ending. Yeah,
So you're going to answer my question: is this a blackball moment with?
it might not be. It might not be. So he called me a couple weeks later, and he was like, "Hey, the pump failed, and I can't get it fixed. I think we're just going to have to get rid of it, and I need help because the marina wants me to take it out of the slip, blah blah blah." And he's, "Yeah, just come on over. I gotta trailer.
How
It'll take
great
like
boat
this
relationships
is
start.
like,
Over.
and I had a friend visiting, and we're all just like, yeah, come on, we'll help my buddy. I'll introduce you to him. It'll be like 20 minutes.
We're gonna have so much fun. Don't worry about
getting
it.
the boat-sized floating plastic condom and its associated pumping apparatus out of a slip. What did that?
3 hours
That's
later,
the definition of a great day.
it was hours, and it's this nice marina, and it's like this super awkward thing. And so it turns out one of the reasons it failed is it was covered in mussels
Wait a minute.
Underneath, yeah.
The boat condom was covered in mussels in turn.
on the bottom.
That is ironic.
The boat
Yeah,
condom itself, it
because
wasn't the boat.
here's the interesting thing: is
It
the
did
thing
its
never,
job, but it was.
It never moves.
Too well.
It never moves, right? So
It's the boat condom.
Did it
that
sink?
sunk
Did
by
the mussels perforate it? Like what happened?
it was actually, we were kind of
It's too
freaking out
heavy.
because a couple of times we pierced some of the air pockets and it started sinking, and we're like, because it was so heavy.
Because it was.
Because of the muscles.
Yeah, and we're just like covered. We're like in the shit. We're like, our faces covered in mud, and it's a super nice marina, and people are coming and going. We're like, hey, how's it going?
Yeah, we're
And
having a great time. It's going great.
that's the funny thing about boating is sometimes it's like you're in a nice marina, but then you have to do something that's like
Not nice.
not nice.
Yeah.
Right? Straight up, man. Straight up.
It was really bad. It was awful. We are all cut up and bloody and there were crabs crawling around. I mean, it was
That was amazing.
I'll send you some photos,
The-
guys.
so the
Believe
boat-
it was not there.
The boat condom did its job. It kept the mussels off the boat, but the boat condom needed a boat condom for itself. And then once you start down that road,
I have been accused for being an optimist sometimes, and I kept saying, think about all the creatures that aren't on the bottom of your boat. By the way, the bottom of his boat is
oh yeah, the boat condom worked. But what you've described is a never-ending series of all right, wait, now I need to double wrap my boat in 2 boat condoms. Wait, now I need to triple wrap my boat. But and there's a never-ending. Eventually,
My children, that does not make it safer. I'm just
eventually,
It doesn't.
eventually, you're gonna have too much growth on your condom, and
Yeah.
Wow.
Isn't that interesting?
It's amazing in so many ways. Also, it's a problem.
Also
that
depicting-
you guys will want to solve. So
yeah.
let me
Also
know.
depicting the nice marina and people walking by, and you guys are wrestling with some giant wet mussel covered muddy crab ridden
Condom.
boat condom that's boat sized and piercing air pockets and
Cool, how's
sinking
your
and
day going?
panicking. Did you get the whole thing out of the water?
We got the whole thing out of the water. We took it to the dump. The whole time, every time we went out in the boat, my buddy was like, man, the people of this marina, they're so anal. Like, you just do one thing wrong, you get yelled at, and it's just going on and on and on. And I'm like covered in blood and mud, and I'm just like muscles all over the road. I was just like, oh man, they're gonna be
You're not
so
gonna
pissed.
like
They're not gonna like
This
this.
doesn't seem popular in the marina. Just don't look. Just look away. Just look at the boat driving.
But I
over
will
there.
say, I think among boaters, there is definitely this sort of kind of
You're like, I see you.
Yeah.
You're just like, we've all been
Yeah.
there.
If it's a nice marina full of big boats, but not necessarily so big that they have professional crews aboard, a lot of people in that marina have pumped out a holding tank.
Yeah, exactly. They weren't shooting any reality shows there.
Right. We all have our moments.
And
We do.
if
We
you've
all
pumped
have our
out a
moments.
holding tank, you've dealt with that kind of nasty end of the boating situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the RV boating crossover.
Shit gets real eventually, right?
Yeah.
Leave it there.
Listeners who may not be familiar. So really big boats have bathrooms, potentially multiple bathrooms on them. They're all
Heads.
They're called heads. And there's a back in the day when I was a kid, on the Chesapeake Bay, you just pumped the poop overboard. And I got some traumatic memories from that situation. But now you're not allowed to do that. Go figure. And the poop goes into a tank on board, and then you have to eventually empty that out like you would empty out a porta potty
Or a septic system.
or a
for that
septic
matter,
system.
yeah.
Yeah. So pumping out a holding tank is a humbling experience because you're opening up this lid and you're putting this suction thing on, and then you're slurping it out, and inevitably there's a little bit of overflow and dripping and all kinds of stuff, and everybody has like gloves, but then like what do you do with the gloves?
Great summer job.
When you're walking through the marina,
Very humbling.
when you're walking through the marina and you see somebody dealing with their crabby, muscly boat condom mess, you may be
like,
you may be like, oh man, I get it. Like sometimes,
but at the end of the day, you're like, I see you.
Robert.
Great. It's a great point.
Robert, thank you so much for joining us. And you have planted a seed for a full topic on electric boats, a full episode on electric boats.
Yeah, I would love to do it for you. I'll help you.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's going to be good. But this was a real treat.
Thanks, man.
Well, thank you.
Moving on. The Seaway Sisters, the Boat Yenta. What is that all about?
I don't. This is just a quick topic. I was thinking about boat yentas in general because you and I have talked about boat yentaing. We've talked to a lot of other people about it. We did a little bit of a show about it, obviously with your awesome friends, Aaron and Flavia, which hopefully they have a glass drawn right now. And I was thinking, like, what is my actual track record as a yenta?
Oh.
Like, I know you and I talk about it, but like, have I ever actually made a match?
Yeah. And did that match stick?
And I think my only positive actual outcome is that I have my own Seaway, and my friend Jen Hohen, Robbie's sister, loves it so much that she bought her own.
That's true.
That's why we're Seaway sisters. Yes, is we have the same boat. Yeah. So
You think that's really your only success?
I don't
Your
know.
only
I
match?
guess I haven't thought about it that much. It's the only one I could think of off the top of my head.
You know, and the market is what it is. It's not like there's like a whole lot of awesome used boats to choose from all the time. And we're typically talking about used boats, and people are searching regionally and not necessarily all in one place. So there's a lot of reasons why it might not happen. But yeah, you definitely have done more for the down east hull style than most in terms of adoption and viewing it as like a very aesthetically pleasing and desirable design.
I do feel like that's one of the many ways to think about the boat yenta, right? It's like, what do you like? What do you like to look at? And then there's just like how do you use it? Like we've been working with our friend Anne Flynn for years.
Yeah.
She's got, like to figure, and she has a use style. Like she's got a profile of how she uses a boat different than other people. And that's like, it's been fun to talk about.
She has constraints because like
it.
her parking spot, her boathouse is really narrow. So like she needs a narrow boat to fit into the boathouse. Yeah.
Right. And then she wants to go to the head of Grindstone because it's fun to go to the beach with all of us and we love that. But so that's like that's the far like stretch for her. But most of it's going to be a little putt-putt with family, with guests, and then go hit the sunset in Neil Bay and go back. Quick trip.
Yeah, with family, with guests, small or not small, but narrow slip, narrow boathouse.
Yeah.
And trip to head of Grindstone, which means you got to be able to like take some weather if things change on the way to or from.
Yep, a little bit, and you don't really want an inboard unless you want to anchor, which nobody does.
Those are a bunch of factors in significant tension with each other.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a puzzle.
Super fun.
Yeah,
that's
super
the fun part.
Yeah, figuring out that puzzle.
It's the boat of the week, stable and sleek. Check out that vessel, baby, isn't she sweet? It's the boat of the week, the boat of the week. Ooh, how I love me, the boat of the week. Da, 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 da. Hey, yeah, let's check out the boat of the week.
There it is. So, boat of the week this week, we have 3 submissions. One from Brian Danforth. Step aboard a restored presidential yacht that once belonged to JFK and Jackie O. Design veteran Jack Phillips embarked on a 3-year historic restoration to preserve this important piece of American history. All right, this is, I'm scrolling through this article. A revolutionary yacht in terms of speed upon its inaugural launch in 1931, the Honey Fitz served 5 consecutive U.S. presidents. Harry S. Truman, Dwight D. Eisenhower, John F. Kennedy, Lyndon B. Johnson, and Richard M. Nixon, after being originally commissioned for Sewell Avery of Montgomery Ward, one of the most prominent retail behemoths of the day. Nixon renamed the boat Patricia in honor of his wife. It has since been renamed and repurposed by various private owners, best known as Honey Fitz in popular culture once JFK took the helm. And Modica, the guy that restored this, tried to get it back to its original glory. This is a really, really classic looking design. It is a high deck design, which means up at the front instead of having like a cabin, the deck, the top surface of the boat pops way up so that there's a whole bunch of interior volume there. Right, that's what a high deck design is.
Really?
Yep, and then behind it there's a whole pilot house. It's very long and very narrow. There's a whole pilot house that runs back, and I'd say 2/3 of the main deck of the pilot house is enclosed, and it's full of gorgeous wood and wooden furniture. And then the aft third of that is a roofed veranda that is gorgeous. The whole extent of that entire superstructure, the upper part is a big lounging and seating area as well, with a beautiful railing around it. So you've got this long, narrow
Wooden. She
wooden.
said it's wooden.
Yep, it's a long, narrow wooden boat that is not very tall. That is covered for its length in really lovely seating area. There's a little smokestack, probably fake, a little mast, and
Fake? You think it's fake?
well, I don't know. I see exhaust in the picture I'm looking at. I see exhaust burbling out of the stern, right? So I'm going to say that's an ornamental smokestack. Although maybe once upon a time in 1931, the actual smoke went out that stack.
If that smokestack was real, it would be a steam yacht, or no?
No, sometimes a dry exhaust will actually go up through a smokestack. So there's dry exhaust and wet exhaust in boats. So you're going to get a little geek on this. A wet exhaust boat is a boat that has a motor that's cooled by injecting water, typically the fresh or salt water that the boat is in, by injecting water into the exhaust system to cool everything down. And
Okay.
A dry exhaust boat.
Could I ask?
Yep.
That's what an outboard does?
Yes, an outboard cools itself with raw water, and a dry exhaust boat could cool itself with raw water that it pumps into the boat and then back out. But the exhaust can be separate from that. The exhaust is on a dry boat. It's just like your car tailpipe. It'll just like whatever the exhaust is for the internal combustion engine in the boat. It'll just like put it into the air. And so often a dry exhaust was run up as high as possible to get that exhaust up above the passengers. So the smokestack, even though it's like oversized for that and looks old-timey steam yachty, like often a dry exhaust will be hidden in there.
Okay, but that's what I'm looking at visually, is a steam yacht, like sort of aesthetic.
Yes.
Okay.
This thing, what do you see on the stern of this thing, on the stern of Honey Fitz? Major tumble home.
Oh yeah, look at that. You're so right.
It's got the white sides with little round portholes all along the hull, which Steph loves.
Yes.
And then
also, I love porches on boats.
This thing is
and I know that the porches are porches and boats are boats, but when you have a porch on a boat, you pretty much you just won my heart.
You've nailed it. That's the appeal of the pontoon boat. It's a porch.
I know.
The whole thing. It's not a porch on a boat. It's a porch boat. That's the appeal of the pontoon boat.
This is also true, but also I have a super I am so into this, and I love that we talked about the Antique Boat Museum with the beautiful what's it called? Help me out.
La Duchesse.
La Duchesse. Yeah, La Duchesse. Because that is also so porchy, and I also love that boat so much. Like I can't get enough of it. And it had a sister boat, and I spent my honeymoon on it, and it's just gorgeous.
Yeah.
I'm so into porches on boats.
So the Honey Fitz has a beautiful exterior, and then the interior, if you've ever seen pictures of really, really classy, 1930s, 1940s train cars that are long and narrow, but are all dolled up with like wingback chairs and, candelabras and curtains and all that stuff. Like that's what the inside of this thing looks like. But that tumble home, man, she's got
great point.
She's got nice lines.
Great point.
I think and then to your point about the porch, like the upper deck has like looks like some big wicker bench situations going on. So
can we put this whole link somewhere so people can see that they have their own china?
Yep. There's pictures of like Jack Kennedy sitting on it, in his like cool guy Jack Kennedy outfits.
Look at the beds.
Yeah. Yeah, the upholstery's really nice. The guy that did the restoration of this friggin' nailed it.
So into it.
Oh, Steph, scroll all the way to the bottom and look at the couch on that upper deck, the upper porch.
I know.
White piping trimmed.
I'm looking at it right now.
White piping trimmed, like
beautiful blue,
royal
white
blue
piping.
cushions.
Yep, like all the way around the curved back of the deck with like, and then some nice nautical cushions on there, and a wood base just with a little bit of wood everywhere. So it's
Yep.
like, and then there's just there's like a little lifeboat, like a little wooden lifeboat, like just hanging out
Yeah.
over on the side.
All with
Yeah,
beautiful bright work. This thing's good. Thank you, Brian Danforth.
thank you.
All right, next up, actually something we just discussed during the lightning round lightning round nautical
Yes.
topic of the week, nautical whatever boat,
Yeah.
retro boat rentals DC from Jen Holcomb Soycan. So imagine cruising the Washington Channel in a rare vintage boat that has been restored to its original jet age beauty. With the sleek design of the vessel and stunning views from the water, you'll be a sight to see as you sightsee in DC. I like that writing; those are good words.
Very nice.
So these are 50s, 60s runabouts, like little, relatively little. This is it. These are the people that converted. They converted
Yeah. They're doing it.
they ripped the guts out of the outboard motors on these things and installed electric drives inside the original period correct outboard. There's a lot of like 30-something people would look like they don't have any kids having white wine in glasses on these things in these pictures, which is fine. It makes me a little angry, but just
So good.
hard top, soft top, turquoise.
But there's a lot of hard top going on though. So just as me trying to, move into my realm of being a little bit more, descriptive, like there's a lot of hard top, 50s hard top. And then with the additional, like, also let me add this little windshield above the hard top, which I'm so into. But I love the look of the hard top. They're all so hot.
Well, you make a good point though, that the hard top with the little windshield on top of it. So in
What's going on?
in this era of boat design, like you didn't really have canvas biminis for shade, and so people built hardtops. This was also a era when car design was changing radically from the long standing sort of 40s era to the 50s and the space age and the fins and the the sort of more square shapes instead of sweeping curves. And so boats got influenced by that design where you've got a lot of sort of like Cadillac Coupe de Ville sort of styling going into them.
Right. And I think that this is so interesting because this happens a lot with design, right? That like something like this is clearly a moment where boats were being designed to look like cars. Like you see this in 1 second, right? Like clearly these are people who are making boats to look like cars, which is great because in retrospect, like it looks super retro and super amazing and awesome. But there are these moments where one design is trying to look like something else, and that's not the case anymore. People are not making boats to look like cars anymore.
No, they're not.
Right?
No, they're not. Unless somebody's trying to reference something retro. No, I think that now if somebody designs a boat to look like a car, they're probably referencing vintage. I think that European boat design currently is doing some really, really interesting stuff, really cool stuff. And that's something that we can get into. There's a boat that was shared with me by Christine Wilmerding, who is the mother of our younger demographic liaison, Luke, who restored the 12-foot Cadillac aluminum boat, and we heard from him in an early episode. Anyway, Christine shared this thing with me. Porsche made a speedboat. They worked in collaboration with another company, and they made an electric speedboat. And that made me think, this is something to talk about with Rob if and when we get to electric boats. Like auto companies are now very well positioned in electric boating because they've sunk a lot of R&D and optimization and engineering into batteries. And the battery is what the electric anything is all about.
Yeah, it's a really good point.
But I looked at a few pictures of this Porsche speedboat, and it is hot, and it is awesome, and it makes me lose. And I'm not saying that to be to pick on you. I'm saying that because I'm like,
Yes, I hear you. I hear you.
Wait till you see this thing, because it's like hot and awesome from the outside.
I'm Googling it right now.
Looks hot and awesome from the outside, and then.
All right, do we have to make a decision, or
no? We got one more.
Third boat of the week.
We got one more. All right. The last boat is the Sea Dory.
Oh yeah, the Sea Dory.
Yeah, so
it's so cute.
These things are great, and they're on the used market. They do pretty well with their value. They're not super expensive to begin with, and so they're not super expensive when they hold up. And they're like lots of models. They used to make a much smaller one than they do now. There's a 22, a 23, 25, 26, and then big catamarans. They used to make them as these like tiny little, like probably 16 footers. And I don't see that model on their website right now.
I love the little ones.
These are very much a Pacific Northwest design. Like it's all about like a really sweet, nice pilot house, big upswept bow, and a partially open back aft cockpit. But like once you're in this thing, you're hunkered down and protected from the cold and the wind and the spray. They're like a sea skiff design where they've got like I said, a swept up bow, outboard power, relatively easy to drive hull, like not super deep V. Seadory has long been known for the stability and security of its vessels, and from a streamlined, efficient fishing machine to comfortable weekend adventure, there's a range of different models. I don't have a whole lot to say about them. They're actually, you kind of have to see them to understand the vibe. But think Alaska, think Pacific Northwest, and think that
lobsters.
Yeah, lobsters, but more like king crab, and then think all those design influences, but for a pleasure boat, fishing and cruising. So the Seadory. All right, we got to make a decision.
I don't know how to do that.
How to make a decision? You don't know how to do that? You really don't want to. I can tell you don't want to make a decision right now.
I'm going with the presidential yacht.
It's over the top gorgeous. It's rare that I don't have like other thoughts, and I'm just going to agree with you right off the bat. But I have to agree with you on that. It's really.
I really am. I'm struggling because I love that rental fleet, but I feel like the rental fleet, like, it'll be there. Like we're gonna go do that. It's a whole nother thing. That's an interactive moment.
I love the Seadory because they're like, hey, let's make a boat that you can go do adventures in. Like that boat of the week.
I know. I love the Seadory too.
That guy that took a Guardian whaler and turned it into his like adventure mobile. That's basically what a Seadory is. It's made for you to go do adventures. You know, roof rack with kayak spikes, whatever. But the presidential yacht, I think that effort that has gone into the restoration of that thing and
so good.
the taking aside the historical significance of it with like all of those presidents and just looking at
it's just gorgeous. It's gorgeous. It's just gorgeous. Like I just want to be on it, which is what the love of boats is all about.
I think for me also, it's a wooden boat, but there's a lot of really nicely done paint on it. And for me, that makes a wooden boat more attractive because if it's acres of varnished wood, I'm like, okay, yeah, we get it. Okay, fine. And I think varnished wood is gorgeous, but also like, I think the contrast between nicely painted wood and
I actually think that's the word. That's it. You just hit it. It's the contrast between the two that makes it so nice.
Yeah.
I agree with you. Yep. Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, your boat of the week is the Honey Fitz Presidential Yacht. That's it. Brian Danforth, two-time winner.
Could be. Does he get two stickers?
We'll have to look back at the records. He definitely gets a sticker he won boat of the week. He definitely gets a sticker. We'll have to look back at the records, and he may be our very first two-time winner. Nice job, Brian. If that's the case, if not, keep trying. All right, we gonna wrap it up.
We're gonna wrap it up. It was a great day. I had a great time.
Yeah, I did too. Thank you so much, everybody. I had a great day too. Thank you so much. Actually, I had a not great day. I had a tough day at work, and I was in a foul mood. And then I sat down and I started setting this up, and my everything got lighter. And then we had a good time, and we had Rob on. He's a huge fan and supporter, which is wonderful. So that's it.
Things got better.
Things got better. That's it. Things got boatier.
Amen. Floatier.
Yo ho ho, that's it for the Bodie Show. Pack the cooler, grab the lines, let's go, go, go. Yo ho ho ho.
That's it for the Bodie Show, Stephanie.
Bodie Show.
Can't wait for freaking summer.
I know, it's coming soon.
I'm jonesing.
It's coming.
All right, everybody. Have a great week. Thank you so much for listening. We love hearing from you. And stay Bodie.
And floaty.
And floaty.
Bye.
Stay Bodie and floaty. Bye-bye.